I've been in the commodity trading industry for more than 15 years, and I've seen people making multi-million dollars fortune in a short decade. No fake money, no fake equity, real hard cash. So for this video, I thought it would be quite interesting if I lay out the two ways that I've seen people creating a huge fortune for themselves within the commodity industry. Alright, so the first way to make a huge amount of money is to be hired by a top firm, a top trading firm. I would say only the top 8 will pay very, very well, and there is only like 2 positions that you really need to aim for. One is trader, of course, and the other one is executive. So you can be like a IT executive in those firms and you will still make a load of money. So that's basically the gameplay. Try to get hired by those big firms and you need to stick there, because right now the industry has a big change. I would say over the last 10 years they stopped giving huge bonuses to traders, because then it wouldn't give the correct incentive. If you give a 50 million bonus to someone, I can tell you they will leave for one of your competitors, or they will leave, start their own company, or they will leave and get retired, you know? And it was not the best thing for the long-term future of the company. So what most of the company do is like they give share to their employees, to their top employees. So the more they stay, the more share they get, the more money they make. And the idea behind that is really to incentivize them to stay as much as possible. So yeah, so that's basically the game time. Try to work from one of those big firms, get in those positions that get shares every year, and just wait and ride. And I can tell you, if you can do that in less than 10 years at the right position, you'll be multimillionaire for sure. I have some friends that, I mean, this is what they are now because they played exactly this playbook. And one thing is like you can't do that in a small firm. So if you work for an SME, even as a trader, you are not going to make that much money. I mean, you will probably have a good salary, but it won't be like fortune-changing money. So use your job in a small company to get a job in the top 6, top 5 maybe from in the world. So if you want to maximize your money as an employee, do this. The problem with the SMEs and even with the medium companies, like they will not make enough money to reward astronomically their employee. So I would say the only caveat would be like if you are in a medium company that are growing extremely fast because they have some type of edge, maybe it would make sense to stay there. But you need to understand, like in a SME, small and medium enterprise, the people that are going to make a lot of money are the owner of the company, not the employee. So even though you can have a great life, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you want to focus and if your idea is only to be a multimillionaire, then you need to just make your way to this top 5 and stay there, because you are only going to get like really, really rich after 7-ish years, 10 years in. So yeah, so that's pretty much the first way. I have a lot of friends, I would say like maybe a dozen that became multimillionaire because they follow this playbook. Coming from Geneva, Switzerland, a lot of my friends are from this industry, and this is how they made a ton of money. Alright, but how do you get a job in one of those big companies? So firstly, obviously, it's really helpful if you get certified by the Shipping and Commodity Academy. But once that is done, it doesn't guarantee that you are going to get a job in one of those big firms. So maybe you will have to do a little detour, you know? You can't really maybe jump straight in. And actually, I have a friend that really did that. So basically, first he got a job in a Fortune 500 company on the logistics side. So I don't want to oust him, but I think he was in charge of trucking and optimization of their supply chain management, so some stuff like that. He only worked there like a year, but it was just for him a way to build up a little bit his CV to then jump in a commodity trading firm. And this is what he did. So sometimes it's not going to be a straight line, but it still works. And another thing that I want to encourage you is not to get too desperate. I've seen a lot of students after like 6 months of trying to apply and getting rejected, they just give up. And again, here, you shouldn't give up. And I have in mind another example of, for instance, Amog. For the people that have been watching this YouTube channel for a long time, I mean, Amog, I've been trying for, I would say, 2 years to get in, and now he works at a figure. So again, everything is possible. So don't think it's going to be easy, because it won't. But if you keep at it long enough and maybe you use a little detour, you will make it. All right, so now let's speak about the second ways. So the second way to make a load of money in commodity trading is to start your own small niche commodity trading company. And here, so it's quite easy. The high level things, like you find a buyer, you find a supplier. The buyer wants what the supplier has, but he doesn't want to transact with him because he thinks it's too dangerous. Maybe the supplier is in another country, or maybe it's the buyer that is required to the product to be in their yard, that the buyer tests the product before paying you. So the suppliers do not agree with those terms. So you find a flow like that with a, let's say, a proper margin. So I would say for a niche physical commodity trading firm, you should be at 5% margin at least. But anyway, so you find a trade flow like that, 5% margin, and you start trading. So you mitigate the risk for the buyer and the supplier, and you get paid your margin. And usually you start with your own capital. So that means that you need to fund your first deal yourself, or you need to somewhat find a way to get back-to-back payment term. It's maybe harder, but it's also possible. I know some companies that starting on back-to-back payment term for 2, 3, 4 years before using other payment terms. So it's completely possible. Now you get your trade flow started and so on, and then you start to have a track record at a couple years of balance sheet behind you. So what you are going to do is you are going to use this track record to try to borrow some money at that moment that you start to make a lot of money, because you started with your own capital. So maybe let's say you have $100, right? You will resell a product for $105 and you make $5 margin, 5%. If you only have $100 and then let's say that the cash cycle is 2 months, you can make 6 deals in a year. So it's not great. You are not going to be rich like that. But what you need to do once you have a track record and you have demonstrated that you know what you're doing, you need to borrow money, because you are going to use this borrowed money to make extra margin. You are going to make less margin because you need to pay up the cost of the money, but on the overall you are going to make way more money. So let's say that before you had $100 and you make $5 per deal. Now let's say that you had $1,000, right? And you will make only $4 per deal because $1 goes to the cost of financing. But at the end of the day, you'll move 10 times more product like that. All right. So this is really what you need to understand, is like with a small commodity trading firm, you make money because you are able to borrow money, allocate this money to provide a return to the borrower and a return to yourself. And this is how you grow extremely fast, by being able to borrow money. And obviously you need to have a track record, you need to be a good operator, you need to be able to demonstrate that you know what you are doing before being able to borrow money from serious people. I know a lot of owners of SMEs, and some of them are making a killing, man. I have a friend in less than 7 years. Now I think last year his company made like 300 million in revenue. 300 million in less than 7 years. And I guess is maybe all blended margin, I don't know, maybe 4%. So imagine that, 12 million EBITDA, and he owns 100% of the company. And his team is like 10-ish people. So man, can you imagine the money that he's making, man? This is crazy. And I know a bunch of people like that. In less than a decade, they built a company producing an incredible cash flow for them. So yeah, crazy and completely possible. Everybody's like, oh, it's too difficult and so on. And obviously it's difficult because you have no skills, no knowledge, no network when you start. But once this get compounded, the sky is the limit. All right, so now let's speak about the most important part, is what you do with the cash flow produced by your commodity trading company in order to be wealthy. Welcome to Dubai, Habibi. So look at the view. High-rise building and desert. Yeah, I don't know if we can see it well, but anyway, so all right, so now you have a commodity trading company, a niche commodity trading company that is making cash flow. And this is something that is very important to understand if you want to be wealthy, thanks to this niche commodity trading firm. Is like a commodity trading company is a cash flow company. You are not going to build an asset. It's very, very difficult to sell a commodity trading company, a niche commodity trading company. Maybe if you are really, really good, you will be able to sell it for 2-3 times EBITDA. And this is if you have long-term contract and so on. I think, man, it's a tough sell because the company is basically you, the owner. So if you are not there, what is left? Contact, how was the contact, the name of your company, but usually the name of the company is tied to you. So yeah, it's probably not something that you are going to exit with a big pile of cash. But now the question is, with this cash flow that you are making, so what are you going to do with this? So let's say that your company, you pay yourself 300K, something like this. So even if you have a family with 300K, I think you can live pretty well everywhere. And then after paying yourself 300K, let's say that there is left 400K. So you're a bit shy of $1 million that you can put in your pocket. So what do you do with those 400K? So obviously, the first reflex is to put it back in your company. That is correct. Only if you have trade flow that you know that you can set up, that is going to provide you low risk and a decent return. So if that is still the case, obviously keep your cash in your company and use it to trade more. So then, thanks to that, hopefully at the end of the next year, you will have more money in your pocket. But what will often happen after a couple of years, you will see that you can't really redeploy this money with low risk trade and pretty good reward because you've tapped out your niche. And when that is the case, instead of trying to look for other trades and so on, I think one of the extremely interesting way to invest this cash flow is in asset. For instance, at my small level, my goal is for next year is to purchase an apartment that is going to be used as an office. So then the cash flow of the company is going to repay the debt of the apartment, and after a few years, I will have an apartment paid by the company. So I will have an asset, all right, on my name. All right, another type of asset that you could buy would be to purchase warehouses. So you purchase a warehouse, then you can use this warehouse for your own trade, and also the business pay for the warehouses. So then over the time you get the ownership of those warehouses, and usually warehouses are pretty well placed on strategic point next to ports or next to quite important highways. So once you finish to pay up for the warehouse, you have real asset that you can resell next to your commodity trading company. And this is really the main point. It's like you want to buy an asset thanks to the cash flow of your company, and you want this asset to appreciate in price. So then you win on the cash flow and you win on the appreciation of the asset. So, and this is really how you can get wealthy with a small commodity trading company. And it's good if this is assets that are not too much tied to your trading company. So for instance, warehouses are quite interesting because you can use it for any commodities, any other application, or if someone wants to buy the warehouse to put a factory inside, it's also possible. With this idea in mind, with the cash flow to buy appreciating asset, I have another friend that basically buy Bitcoin with a cash flow produced from his company. And when he needs more cash to trade, because there's like a good opportunity or the price of the commodity that he trade shoot up, he will pledge his Bitcoin to get some cash, do the trade, and then repurchase the loan. So I don't know if that was clear, but basically he uses Bitcoin as collateral, he gets some cash, do the trade, and then pay back the loan to get his Bitcoin back. So then his Bitcoin is like a bank that he can put as collateral when he needs it for very, very good opportunities. Obviously, there's a risk, man. There is a risk with this strategy, but I think you really collateralize only like 20%. So the Bitcoin value should go below 80% or something like this to liquidate him. But yeah, so this is the idea. Like with this cash flow, what type of asset can you buy that will hopefully appreciate in value over the time, and that could also be used with your business? Because if we go back to the example of the warehouse, I mean, think about that. If a client come or a supplier come to see you, you have an office and you have your warehouse. You can say, hey, this is my warehouse. And you will immediately be taken seriously a bit more than if you had no asset. So yeah, think about that. In your case, if you have cash flow to reinvest, does it make sense to keep it as cash to trade more, or no? Does it make sense to purchase assets that will grow in value in the future? So then in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you will have multiple assets in addition to your commodity trading company that you can resell and make you a wealthy man. All right, guys, I hope that you liked this video. And if you want to break into the world of commodity trading, just check the first link below this video and you will end up on the Shipping Commodity Academy with a lot of students that successfully broke into this exciting industry. Ciao.